Oh my goodness. I'm at Harvard. Wow. To President Paul's, my fellow on Aaron's card. It was a beautiful thank you so much in James Rothenberg, Stephanie Wilson, Harvard faculty with a special bow to my friend Tatum. All of you alumni with a special bow to the class 88 and $115 million. Thank you and to you members of the Harvard class of 2013. Hello. I thank you for allowing me to be part of the conclusion of this chapter of your lives and the commencement of your next chapter. To say that I'm honored doesn't even begin to qualify the depth of gratitude that really accompanies an honorary doctorate from Harvard. And not too many little girls from rural Mississippi have made it all the way here to Cambridge, and I can tell you that I consider today, as I sat on the stage this morning, getting cherry for you all in the cherry room for myself. I consider today a defining milestone in a very long, blessed journey. My one hope today is I can be a source of your inspiration. I'm going to address my remarks to anybody who's ever felt inferior or feel disadvantaged, feel through by this life, this speech for the world. Actually, I was so honored. I wanted to do something real special for you. I wanted to be able to have you look under your seats and there would be free master and Dr. Reese. But I see you got it covered already. I will be honest with you, felt a lot of pressure over the past few weeks to come up with something that I could share with you that you hadn't heard before, because after all, you all went to Harvard, I did not. But then I realized that you don't have to necessarily go to Harvard to have a driven, obsessive, type A personality, but it helps. And while I may not have graduated from here, I admit that my personality is about as Harvard as they come. My television career began unexpectedly. As you heard this morning, I was in the Miss Five prevention contest. That was when I was 16 years old in the Nashville, Tennessee, and you had the red hair in order to win up until the year that I entered. So they were doing a question and answer period because I knew I wasn't able to win a swimsuit competition. So during the question and answer period, the question came, "Why, young lady, what would you like to be when you grow up?" And by the time it got to me, all the good answers were gone. So I had seen Barbara Walter on today's show the morning, so I answered, "I would like to be a journalist. I would like to tell other people's stories in a way that makes the difference in their lives and the world." And as those words were coming out of my mouth, I went, "Whoa, this is pretty good. I would like to be a journalist. I want to make a difference." Well, I was on television by the time I was 19-year-old. And in 1986, I launched my own television show with a relentless determination to succeed at first. I was nervous about the competition, and then I became my own competition, raising the bar every year, pushing myself as hard as I knew, so familiar to anybody here. Eventually, we did make it to the top, and we stayed there for 25 years. The Oprah Winfrey Show was number one in our time slot for 21 years, and I have to tell you, I became pretty comfortable with that level of success. But a few years ago, I decided, as you will at some point, that it was time to recalculate, find new territory, break new road. So I ended the show and launched on the Oprah Winfrey Network. The initials just worked out for me. So 1 year later, after launching on, nearly every media outlet had proclaimed that my new venture was a flop. Not just a flop, but a big, bold flop. I can still remember the day I opened up USA Today to read the headline: Oprah not quite standing on her own. I mean, really, USA Today, that's the nice newspaper. It really was this time last year the worst period in my professional life. I was stressed and I was frustrated, and quite frankly, I was actually embarrassed. It was right around the time that President Prost called and asked me to speak here, and I thought, you want me to speak to Harvard graduates? What could I possibly say to Harvard graduates, some of the most successful graduates in the world, in the very moment when I stopped succeeding? So I got off the phone with President Paul and I went to the shower. It was either that or the bag Oreos. So I chose the shower. And I was in the shower a long time, and as I was in the shower, the words of an old hymn, you may not know it, is by and by when the morning comes. And I started thinking about when the morning might come, because at the time I thought I was stuck in a hole. And the words came to me, trouble don't last forever. From that hymn, this too shall back. I thought as I got out of the shower, I'm going to turn this thing around and I will be better for it. And when I do, I'm gonna go to Harvard. I'm gonna speak the truth. So I'm here today to tell you I have turned that network around. And I want to do it by the time I gotta speak to you. Also, thank you so much. You don't know what motivation you were for me. Thank you. I'm even prouder to share fundamental truths that you might not have learned, even as graduates of Harvard, unless you studied the ancient Greek hero with Professor Na, Professor Nigel. As we were coming in this morning, said, "Please, Mr. Referee, what decisively?" I saw what decisively. This is what I want to share. It doesn't matter how far you might rise. At some point, you're about to stumble, because if you're constantly doing what we do, raising the bar, if you're constantly pushing yourself higher, the law of average, not to mention the myth of Icarus, predicts what you will at some point fail. And when you do, I want you to know this. Remember this: there's no such thing as failure. Failure is just life trying to move it in another direction. Now, when you're down there in a hole, you look like failure. So this past year, I had to still feed those words to myself. And when you're down the hole, when that moment comes, it's really okay to feel bad for a little while. Give yourself time to mount what you think you might have lost. But then here's the key: learn from every mistake. Because every experience, encounter, and particularly your mistakes, are there to teach you and force you into being more of who you are. And then figure out what is the next right move. And the key to life is to develop an internal, moral, emotional GPS that can tell you which way to go. Because now and furthermore, when you Google yourself, your search results will read Harvard 2013. And in a very competitive world, that really is a calling card because I can tell you it's one who employs a lot of people. When I see Harvard, I sit up a little straight and say where it is to bring them in. It's an impressive calling card that can lead to even more impressive bullets in the years ahead. Lawyers, seniors, CEOs, scientists, winners of Nobel and Pulitzer Prizes, or late night talk show hosts. But the challenge of life I have found is to build a resume that doesn't simply tell the story about what you want to be, but is the story about who you want to be. It's a resume that doesn't just tell the story about you want to accomplish, but why. A story that's not just a collection of titles and positions, but a story that really about your purpose. Because when you inevitably stumble and find yourself stuck in a hole, that is the story that will get you out. What is your true calling? What is your dharma? What is your purpose? For me, this discovery came in 1994 when I interviewed a little girl who decided to collect pocket change in order to help other people in need. She raised $1,000 by herself, and I thought, little 9-year-old girl with a bucket and big heart, what I can do? I asked her to take up their own change collection, and in 1 month, just from pennies and nickels and dimes, we raised more than $3 million. What we used to send one student from every state in the United States to college. That was the beginning of the Angel Network. And so, what I did was I simply asked our viewers, do what you can wherever you see it in life. Give me your time, your talent, your money, if you have it, and they did. Extend yourself in kindness and other human beings whether you can. And together we built 55 schools in 12 different countries and restored nearly 300 homes that were devastated hurricanes. So the Angel Network, I've been on the air for a long time, but it was the Angel Network that actually focused my internal GBS that helped me to design that I wasn't just going to be on TV every day, but that the world of my shows, my interviews, my business, my philanthropy, all of it, whatever ventures I made, pursue it to make clear that what unites us is ultimately far more redeeming and compelling than everything that separates me. Because what had become clear to me, it isn't always clear at the beginning because I was sad. I've been on television since I was 19 years old, but around 94 it got really clear. So don't expect clarity to come to know your purpose right away. But what became clear to me was that I was here on the earth to use television and not to be used by it. To use television to illuminate this transcendent power of our better angels. So this angel network, it didn't just change the life of those who help, but those who also didn't help me. It reminded us that no matter who we are or what we look like, what we may believe, it is both possible and more importantly, it becomes powerful to come together in common purpose and common efforts. I saw something on Billmore show that so reminded me on this phone. It was an interview with David and Francine Wheeler. They lost their 7-year-old son, Ben, in the Sandy Hook tragedy. Even though gun safety legislation to stage just been voted out in Congress at the time they were doing this interview. They talked about how they refused to be discouraged. Francine said this. She said, our hearts are broken, but our spirits are not. I'm going to tell them what it's like to find a conversation about change that I love. And I'm going to do that without fighting them. And then her husband David added this, you simply cannot demonize or vilify someone who doesn't agree with you. Because the minute you do that, your discussions is over. And we cannot do that any longer. The problem is too enormous. There has to be some way that this darkness can be banished with light. In our political system and in media, we often see the reflection of a country that is polarized, that is paralyzed, and self-interest. And yet, I know you know the truth. We all know that we are better than the cynicism and the pessimism through Washington, the 24-hour cabinet news. Not my channel, by the way. We understand that the was stronger background checks because they realize that we can uphold the Second Amendment and also reduce the violence that is rough enough about children. They don't have to be incompatible. Where we understand that the most Americans believe in a clean-based citizenship for the 12 million undocumented immigrants who raid the country. Because it's possible to both enforce our laws and at the same time embrace the words on the Statue of Liberty that have welcomed generations of honors. We can do both. I will understand. I know you do because you went to Harvard. The people from both parties and no party believe that indigent mothers and families should have access to healthy food and a roof and a strong public education because here in the richest nation on earth, we can afford a basic level of security, unfortunately. And the question is, where are we going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Maybe you agree with these beliefs, you don't. Maybe you care about these issues, maybe there are other challenges that you, class of 2013, are passionate about. Maybe you want to make a difference by serving in government. Maybe you want to launch your own television show. Or maybe you simply want to collect change a parent would appreciate that about now. The point is, your generation is charged with the task of breaking through with the body politics. This one may embrace to change. Each of you has been blessed with this enormous opportunity of attending this prestigious school. You now have a chance to better your life and the lives of neighbors and also the life of our country. When you do that, let me tell you what I know for sure. That's when your story gets really good. Maya Angelou always says, when you learn, teach, when you get, give. That, my friends, is what gives your story purpose and meaning. So you all have the power in your own way to develop your own angel network. And in doing so, your class will aim to more toward influence empowerment than any other generation in history. I did it in an analog world. I was blessed with a platform that is high, reached nearly 20 million users a day. And in the world of Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Tumblr, you can reach billions in just a seconds. You're the generation that rejected predictions about your attachment and your disengagement, but showing up to vote and record numbers in 2008. And when the pamphlet said they talked about you. They said you're too disappointed. You'd be too dejected to repeat that same kind of turn in 2012 election, and you proved them wrong by showing off in every that you are. This generation, your generation, I know, has developed a finely honor radar for BS. Can you say BS at Harvard? The spin and phoniness and artificial that Saturday so much of our nation debate. I know you understand better than most that real rawness requires authentic. an authentic way of being honesty. And I would say that the single most important lesson I learned in 25 years, taking every single day to people, was that there is common denomination in our human experience. But I tell you, we don't want to be divided. What we want, the common denominator that I found in every single interview, is want to be validated, want to be understood. I've done over 35,000 interviews in my career, and as soon as that camera shows up, everyone always turns to me and eventually they always ask this question: was that okay? I heard it from President Bush, I heard it from President Obama, I've heard it from heroes and or heard it from victims, and I even heard from Beyonce and not of her Beyonceness. She finished performing, hands me the microphone and says, was that okay? Friends and family, yours, enemies, strangers, in every argument, in every encounter, every exchange, I will tell you, they all want to know one thing: was that okay? Did you hear me? Do you see me? Did what I say mean anything to you? And even though this is college where Facebook was born, my hope is that you will try to go out and have more face-to-face conversation with people you may disagree with. Did you have the courage to look them in the eye and hear the points of view, and help make sure that the speed and distance and anonymity of our word doesn't cause us to lose our ability to stand in someone else's shoes and recognize all that we share this as people. This is imperative for you as an individual and for our success as a nation. There has to be some way that its darkness can be banished with light, says the man whose little boy was Max desperate on just an ordinary Friday in December. So whether you call it soul or spirit or higher self, intelligence, I know this daylight inside each of you, all of it, that illuminates your very human beingness if you let it. And as a younger from rural Mississippi, I learned long ago that being myself was much easier than pretending to be Barbara Walters. Although when I first started, because I had Barbara in my hand, I would try to sit like Barbara. Was on a new reading news and I called Canada, and that was the end of me. I grabbed myself on TV. Couldn't stop laughing, and Maria personally came through, and I figured out, oh gee, I can be much better Oprah than I could be a pretend Barbara. I know that you all might have a little anxiety now and hesitation about leaving the comfort of college and putting those Harvard residentials to the test. But no matter what challenge or setbacks or disappointments along the way, you will find true success and happiness if you have only one goal. There really is only one, and that is this: to fulfill the highest, most truthful expression of yourself as a human being. You want to max your humanity by using your energy to lift yourself up, your family, and the people around you. Theologian Howard Thurman said, don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and then go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. The world needs people like Michael Storer-Smith from Fort Lauderdale. When Michael was just 8 years old, Michael nearly died from bacterial infection that caused him both of his hands and both of his feet. and in an instant this vibrant little boy became a wardrobe amputee, and his life was changed forever. But in losing who once he was, Michael discovered who he wanted to be. He refused to sit in that wheelchair all day and feel sorry for himself, so with prosthetics, he learned to walk and run and play again. He joined his middle school lacrosse team, and last month, when he learned that so many victims of Boston Marathon bombing would become new amputees, Michael decided to banish that darkness with light. Michael and his brother Harris created MikeyStone.com to raise $1 million for other amputees by the time Harris runs the 2014 Boston Marathon. More than 1,000 miles away from here, these two young brothers are bringing people together to support this Boston community the way their community came together to support Michael. When this 13-year-old man was asked about his fellow amputees, he said this: "First, they will be sad. They're losing something they will never get back. And that's scary. I was scared. But I will be alright. They just don't know that yet. We might not always know it. We might not always see it or hear it on the news. Even I feel it in daily life. I faith that no matter what, class of 2013, you'll be okay. You will make sure our country is okay. A faith because of that 9-year-old girl who went out and collected the change. A faith because of David and Francine Wheeler. A faith because Michael and Harris Dodgeberg. A faith because of you. The network of angels sitting here today. One of them, Khadijah Williams, who came to Harvard 4 years ago. Khadijah had attended 12 schools in 12 years, living out of garbage bags, amongst pimps and prostitutes and drug dealers, homeless, going in department stores, Walmart in the morning and bath herself so that in front of her classmates. And today she graduates as a member of Harvard's class of 2013. From time to time, you may stumble, fall. You will for sure count on it. No doubt, you will have questions and you will have doubts about your path. But I know that if you're willing to listen to, be guided by that still small voice that is the GPS within yourself, to find out what makes you come alive, you will be more than okay. You will be happy. You will be successful. And you will make a difference in the world. Congratulations, class of 2013. Congratulations to your good luck. Thank you for listening. Is that okay?